because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth in sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to do a video on this picture right here that was shared by the brother Rarai La Yashar Allah Yahweh Shai is coming back 144K, which is 144,000. And as you see this picture right here, you see a bunch of people who would appear to be Edomites, you know. And in this picture, you know, you can see the anger and the hate on these Edomites. Okay, you can see their disdain and their profound hatred for Israelites. Now, when you scroll down here and you read this, it says, the people who threw rocks at Ruby Bridges, which this little girl that you see right here, this is Ruby Bridges, okay? Which, you know, I believe she is an Israelite. Okay? But it says the people who threw rocks at, and let me remind you, this is a little girl right here, okay? And what do you see right here? You see grown ass Edomite women and men throwing rocks at a little girl, and all she was doing was walking to school. Okay, so the people who threw rocks at Ruby Bridges for trying to go to school in 1960, this was in the 1960s. Okay, that's not too far from now. Okay, this was what, 62 years ago? Okay, so 62 years ago is not too far from now. You know, you got people, you know, when you go out on the highways and hedges and you bring up slavery, Edomites love to come up to the camp and talk about, that was a long time ago, dude. That was like hundreds of years, that was like over 100 years ago. Well, this right here happened in the 1960s. Okay, and I believe my grandmother was alive during this time. She might have been a teenager around this time. Okay, she could have been a teenager around this time. So my grandmother was alive around this time. My grandfather was alive around this time. You know, my mom was probably a child around this time. You know, my mom was probably a child. You know, or my mom could have possibly been a teenager, and my grandmother could have possibly been a young adult at around this time. You know, but here it is, you know, they see a brown-skinned girl walking to school with her lunch bag, and they respond by throwing rocks at her. And just look at the anger, the hate. You can see the anger, the hate, the disdain on these Edomite women. And you got the Israelite man in the background cheering them on. I mean, you got the Edomite man in the background cheering them on, you know. But it says the people who threw rocks at Ruby Bridges for trying to go to school in 1960 are now upset their grandchildren might learn about them throwing rocks at Ruby Bridges for trying to go to school. Right. Their grandchildren, right? Because Esau's one of the main moves that Esau is trying to do is what? He's trying to take slavery out of the textbooks in schools. Now, when I was a child, whenever they would teach us about slavery, it felt like they was rubbing it in our faces. Like, yeah, nigga, we had y'all on slavery. We was doing this, we was doing that. We was whipping y'all in the back. We had y'all out there picking potatoes, corn, cotton, tobacco. You know? But now look, now that the truth is going out there, now that this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, this truth is going out into the world. Now these devils want to take slavery out of the textbooks. Because not only is the truth exposing them for their wicked deeds, not only are these Edomites ashamed of what they did, but slavery also proves who the true Israelites are. So those are the three top reasons as to why they're taking slavery out of the textbooks. You know, and now they're trying to change the history now they're trying to change the history on slavery. Nah, you can't do that. Nah, man. Nah. You know, hey, I have to thank you, devils. Because you taught me about you taught me about what happened to my ancestors during slavery, which I am my ancestors, because you taught me about what happened to my ancestors during slavery. You know, you basically helped me to understand Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Because now it makes sense. The yoke of iron, serving our enemies in nakedness and in hunger and in want of all things, being sold to our enemies on auctioning blocks, all that is written in the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 15th verse on down, as to what will happen to the Israelites in the last days if they did not keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father Yahweh through his son Yahushua. So slavery proves who the Israelites are. And that is the top reason why you want to remove slavery from the textbooks and these different schools and colleges. Because slavery proves who the Israelites are. You know, but also because you are ashamed of what you did to us during the time of slavery, and also because damn, I forgot that third reason, but yeah, you know, so slavery exposes you so-called white people for the devil you are, man. Okay. And also slavery also proves that the Edomites are still in power today. Because Isaac told Esau that in the book of Genesis, the 27th chapter. Okay, when Isaac told Esau, when thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. When did that happen? That happened during the Renaissance period. Okay. That's when you Edomites started to rise up into power and to take us out of power. Because during the Dark Ages, who was ruling Europe? Who was ruling North America? Who was ruling Meso and South America? Who was ruling Mexico? We were. Who was ruling Germany? We were. We had control over Germany. Okay? We had control over the major parts of Russia. Okay? We even had control over Japan. We even had control over parts of China. What do you think the Dynasty Warriors were all about? The Dynasty Warriors, okay? You had the army of Wu. You had the army of Wu, WU, and then you had the army of Shu, SHU, and then you had the army of Wei, WEI, the army of Wei. Those were the three major armies amongst the dynasty warriors. Those were our people, okay? Down there in Japan, we had control over Japan, okay? Okay, who do you think was ruling who do you think was ruling Japan during the Sengoku and the Edo periods? The samurai were. The samurai. What do you think samurai warriors were all about? It was all about it was all about war for control and power over Japan. Okay? And all that happened during what? The Sengoku periods as well as the Edo periods. And then you had something called the Tokugawa period, where Ieyasu, one of the head generals of the samurai warriors, where he managed to establish peace in the land. But of course that didn't last long. You had the remnants of Oda Nobunaga's army, who was hard at war with Ieyasu and against Yukimura Sanada. Okay, all those great samurai warriors. Okay, all those great samurai warriors. Tadakatsu Honda. Who else? Keiji Maeda. Magoichi. Nobunaga Oda. Those were our people. Okay, of course, Nobunaga Oda. That was a wicked ass dude. Okay, he turned against the code of the samurai. That's why he was a wanted criminal. But Nobunaga Oda, that dude was a Jake, man. Hey, and you know what? When you play some of these games like Sengoku Basara, Utage, Sengoku Basara, Sumeragi, or even Samurai Warriors, Nobunaga is depicted as having some form of melanin. They know that he was a so-called black dude. Even though he was wicked, talking about Nobunaga Oda, okay? You also had Nobunasa. Oh yeah, you also had Kenshin Uesigi. You had Shingen Takeda. Okay, all those great samurai, those were our people. Okay, you also had ninjas, great ninjas around those times, like Fuma Kotaro. Okay, that dude was a Jake. Okay, the original ninjas were Jakes. Fuma Kotaro, Sasuke. Okay, a ninja named Sasuke. Okay, you also had damn, I forgot his name. Yeah, see, but it'll come back to me. Oh yeah, Masamune Date. That's another one. Also known as the One-Eyed Dragon, the Azure Dragon, the rival of Yukimura Sanada. Those were our people, you see. So during the Dark Ages, we basically had control of the world. Okay, we had control over China, Japan, Russia, Germany. Okay, down there in Russia and Germany, that's where you get a lot of your knights from. Your crusaders. You get a lot of your crusaders from Germany. Okay, in Europe, Europe they were known for having fencers. Like fencing. That comes from us. We started fencing, where you pick up a rapier, in which fencing is all about learning to outwit your enemy while striking critical points. Fencing is also about knowing when to dodge, when to block, when to counter, when to land a fatal blow. Yeah, that's all a part of fencing. We started that, okay? We started fencing with the rapier. And there's a reason why it was called a rapier. Because you could land rapid strikes that could lead to bleeding. Lead to the opponent bleeding out. You also had a lot of your warriors. Your warriors that wielded like heavy weapons like lances. They also come out of Europe. Of course Russia had their own type of knights, but Europe also had their own type of knights. Fighting with lances. Yeah, that comes out of Europe. That was our people. You know, here in the Americas, you had Gad. Gad was very skilled at warfare, knowing how to wield axes, bow and arrows. You know, you had the Seminole Indians. You know, they were really skilled with javelins. You know, spears. Okay, bow and arrows. You know, another thing about Gad was Gad knew how to use the environment against his opponents. Like when those conquistadors came over here, you know, when the conquistadors and the Spaniards came over here, a lot of them ended up getting ambushed because Gad was literally hiding under quicksand. You know, like they would breathe through a straw. That way they could stay underneath the quicksand long enough to ambush the enemy. Okay, and guess what? Guess what? When the time came, boom, they popped out and got the enemy. Okay, you know, Gad would dress up in leaves and he would hide amongst a pile of leaves. Then as soon as the enemy would walk past him, bam, would chop his ankle right off his leg. So yeah, Gad was, hey, he was pretty terrifying when it comes to combat. You know. Then you had the Taino Indians, which are the Puerto Ricans. You know, they were skilled at you know, like wielding swords, different variation of swords. You know, being on horseback. You know, so was Gad. You know, all the tribes, man, we were all warriors. And at one point, hey, once upon a time, our nation, the nation of Israel, our nation had control of the earth. But what happened? Well, like it tells you in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, okay? And I believe it's around the 40th verse. The Lord said that the enemy that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And that's what happened. We came down very low. And who was the enemy that came up very high? You Edomites. And when you took us out of power, you put us in slavery. And the first crop of slaves did not come from West Africa. The first crop of slaves came from Europe. Okay? Even though Gad was already in slavery, you know, talking about the northern kingdom, you know, the northern tribes were already in slavery before the slaves from Europe arrived in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. You know, slavery was already going on over here in the Americas because they had Gad. They had the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Ephraim, which is the Puerto Ricans. They had the Seminole Indians, the tribe of Reuben in slavery. They had the Mexicans from the tribe of Issachar in slavery. They had us all in slavery. And while they had us in slavery, what was Esau doing? He was raping our women. You know, he was whipping us on the back. He was making us build houses for them, cut down trees so they could set up their own businesses, all that shit, man. So yeah, we built this country. And even after we were, you know, emancipated, because slavery was not abolished, slavery was emancipated, which when you look up the word emancipated, right? When you look up the word emancipate, it means to transfer from one state to another, or the word emancipate means to transfer from one condition to another. So we went from being in physical slavery, from having chains and shackles on us, to being put in mental slavery. Because like it tells you in Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 4, what did the Lord say? The Lord said, and thou even thus thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage which I gave thee. So our heritage was beaten out of us during physical slavery. So after, you know, the slave master realized that, you know, we were docile, you know, we were basically obedient under slave master orders. You know, when they realized that we were not calling ourselves Israel anymore, when they realized that we had forgotten our power, Then what? Then they decided to emancipate us from physical slavery to mental slavery. You know, and just like that, we were convinced that we were colored people, we were niggers, Negroes, you know, which nigger is just another word for Niger. Like down there in Africa, there's a country called Niger, which the word Niger just means black. You know, and a matter of fact, Paul in the New Testament, he was called Niger. So nigger and Niger are basically the same words. Nigger just mean black. It's not nigger. The word nigger is not really a offensive word. It's not. The word nigger just mean black. And guess what? We are not black. We are Hebrew Israelites. We are the true chosen people of the Heavenly Father. We are God's chosen people. We are the true Hebrew Israelites. The so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, we are the true Hebrew Israelites. From our respective tribes of the nation of Israel. So here it is, after slavery is emancipated, what do we see here? We see all kinds of atrocities still happening to our people. Israelite, a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian, might try to, walk into a restaurant and he might see a sign that says whites only. He might try to drink from a water fountain and it might say, no, niggers are not allowed to drink from this fountain. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Even after slavery was emancipated, during around these times, during around the 1940s, the 1950s, our people was literally being tied to the back of they was being tied to the back of vehicles, and they was literally being dragged to their death through the streets. And guess what? You Edomites would cheer on the driver. The driver would probably blow his horn and shit, throw his fist out the window, rooting for the people that was cheering them on. Meanwhile, there's a so-called black person tied up to the back of a truck, and he's just laying on the ground helplessly, being dragged to his death. Nothing he could do about it. Skin ripped off his back, flesh and blood is all smeared through the streets and shit, and he's just sitting there in agony. And this happened on multiple accounts. There's still slavery pictures of us being hung on trees in large numbers. Okay, we were being lynched, and not just that. We can't forget about Emmett Till. Okay, he was accused of raping a so-called white woman, and as a result, he was kidnapped. His eye was gouged out. They brutally beat him. They tortured him. They probably cut out his tongue. And they beat that dude beyond recognition. To the point to where you couldn't even recognize him. One of his eyes was completely swollen. And that's not the only atrocities. Israelites were during around these times, like the 1960s, Israelites were, so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians were being kidnapped, But before they got lynched, they would castrate the guy. They would chop off his legs. They would cut off his fingers, so he couldn't try to save his own life while he was being hung. And while he was being hung, people were yelling, they were screaming, they were celebrating, and they were even taking pictures and sending them to their family members. Okay? And how can we forget about African Dodger, where they will have a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native Indian man stick his head out the curtain. Meanwhile, people, so-called white people, Edomites, were given baseballs, and they while they were standing behind the stage, while they were standing in front of the stage, they literally had to throw the baseball, and the goal was to hit the man right in the face. You know, so a lot of those Israelites who became victims of African Dodger, right? A lot of them ended up with fractured skulls, had concussions, missing teeth, broken noses, a bloodied up face. Some of their faces were caved in. And guess what? They couldn't even move. They had to sit still and just hope that whoever was throwing the baseball missed. And I'm not talking about one of them small baseballs that they use that you see in baseball games. I'm talking about one of them big softballs. Okay, you had our people doing dangerous stunts in the circus. And I'm talking about life-threatening stunts. Stunts that could possibly cost them their life. And here, what do we see? We see a picture that indicates Edomites throwing rocks at a little Israelite girl because they saw her walking to school. And now that is being taught in our schools, now you want to take all the atrocities that you've done out of the textbooks, because you're not only ashamed of what you did, you're not only trying to hide your works, but you know that everything you've done to the Israelites all lines up with prophecy. All your atrocities against us proves in the Holy Scriptures that we are the biblical Israelites, because the Scriptures said that all these atrocities will happen to us. So now you're trying to take all these atrocities out of the textbooks. But no matter how hard you try to hide or run from your past, you'll never be able to do it. You know. Now you want to be upset because your grandchildren is being taught about the shameful deeds that you motherfuckers did. So that makes you a hypocrite. Oh, it was all fine during the 1960s, but here it is. We're in the year 2016, 2018, the year 2020, 2022, and now you're ashamed? Even in the year 2009, 2010, you was ashamed of your deeds, and you was fighting so hard to hide them. But you can't. You'll never be able to hide from your past. Okay? And a lot of you Edomites, you were those people back then. Okay, and especially during the time of slavery, a lot of you Edomites that are alive today, you were those people that had us in slavery. And I say us because a lot of us brothers that are alive today was alive during the time of slavery. So Job chapter 15, yeah, there is a such thing as reincarnation. Reincarnation is in the Holy Scriptures. There's no such thing as YOLO. There's no such thing as you only live once. Job chapter 15 verse 34. For the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate. Okay, the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate. So this whole congregation of wicked people, this wicked country, is going to be made desolate. Through what? Through intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can carry up to multiple nuclear warheads, which is going to come from Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, NATO, because NATO will eventually turn on the United States of America and many other countries that hate this country. And fire, nuclear fire, shall consume the tabernacles of bribery. Now let's go to Job. Well, you know what? Why not just hit the back button? Okay, so this is Job chapter 20 verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Yeah, the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Now it becomes a problem when you know, that's just like a dog that shits on the floor in your house. It's all good while you're away from the house. But as soon as the owner steps in the door, you know, the dog one wants to run and hide. Nah, bruh. Nah. The owner about to put a leash on that dog's neck, and he about to drag the dog right to his shit and make him smell his own shit on the ground, to make him realize the error of his way. And you Edomites, you are like that dog. You shitted on the floor, and now you trying to run and hide now that the owner is on his way home. But nah, there ain't no running and hiding. Soon there's gonna be a leash around your neck, and Lord's will, if we be of the elect, we're gonna drag you right to your shit, and we're gonna make you smell your own shit and dip your nose in it and make you realize the error of your way. Slavery is coming, man. Lamentations 4 verse 21. Okay. The cup also shall be passed through unto thee, O Edom, so rejoice. Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. Yahweh ahchyam, Yahweh Shah is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Colossians chapter 3 verse 25. For he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of persons. Because Yahweh is not a respect of persons. Malachi chapter 3 verse 6. Okay, for I am the Lord, I change not. The Lord don't change. Okay. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 1. For he will have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel. Okay. Ezekiel the 25th chapter. Okay. The Lord is going to lay his vengeance upon Edom by the hand of his people Israel. And they shall do in Edom according to his anger. So it's not going to be our anger. Lord's will, if we be of the elect, the hopeful elect, and we get you devils in slavery, what we're going to do to you Edomites in the kingdom of heaven, what we're going to do to you while you're building the kingdom of heaven, it's going to be that's going to be the Lord's anger on us. It's not going to be our anger. Our anger is ant anger compared to the Lord's anger. Okay, Obadiah chapter 1 verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, because who's Jacob's brother? Esau. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So after you devils serve your 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom of heaven, every single one of you Edomites are going to be gathered up in one big bundle, and you're going to get burned with fire. You're all going to perish by fire. And then you're going to come back in the reincarnation through these other nations. Okay, Revelation chapter 13 verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And we're patiently waiting for Yahweh Shah to return. Because when Yahweh Shah returns, he's going to, Lord's will, if we be of the elect and we get delivered, he's going to give us the power to get our vengeance. Okay? 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 6. For it is a righteous thing with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And even to this very day, we're being troubled, okay? This little Israelite girl right here was troubled. And this was during the 1960s. Okay? So guess what? When Ruby Bridges comes back, she's going to come back as an Israelite child. And guess what? She's going to be the slave master of these. She's going to be a slave master over these Edomite women, and plus more. And guess what? She's going to have spiritual power, and she's going to be beautiful. You know, she's going to be beautiful. She's going to have her long natural hair back. You know, she's going to be decked out with golds and rubies and sapphire and gemstones. And she's going to be beautiful for all eternity. And guess what? Guess what? She's going to have fun getting her vengeance on you Edomites. Because, hey, she's going to know, she's going to know which one of you Edomite women threw rocks at her while she was walking to work. And then guess what? She's going to fuck you up in the kingdom of heaven. So, hey, you had your little fun with Ruby Bridges. You had your little fun. So when she come back in the reincarnation in the kingdom of heaven, she gonna get every single one of you Edomites. And guess what? She's gonna be laughing. And guess what? She's not gonna be the only one. She's gonna have all kinds of Israelite friends with her. And guess what? Her Israelite friends is gonna be cheering her on while she's putting her foot in y'all ass. And her female Israelite fan and her female Israelite friends might even chime in and help her to whoop you little Edomite women asses. Okay? Job chapter 20 verse 6. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, right? They got all these airplanes, these helicopters, these jets, these war jets, these drones. They got these satellites up in outer space, these space weapons. They got these outer space bunkers up in those satellites. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach unto the clouds, right? Yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. You can line this up with Obadiah 1 and 10. Okay? You can also line this up with Job, the 18th chapter. Okay? Where it speaks about he shall fade away as a dream. I'll just get it. So you're gonna perish forever like your own dung, man. You know, that's just like whenever we take our dog out to go shit outside. You know, eventually the rain comes. You know, the shit starts to dissolve, and right before you know it, you don't see it on the ground no more. It's gone. That's how you Edomites are going to be. After you Edomites serve your 1,000 years of slavery in the kingdom of heaven, guess what? You're going to perish forever like your own dung. You're all going to get gathered up in one big bundle, and you're all going to perish by fire. And nobody is ever going to see another Edomite on this planet ever again. So yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Right. They're going to wake up the next day. They're going to look down in the pits and they're going to be like, huh? Where'd they go? Talking about these heathens. Okay? They're going to go to the pits one day. They're going to look down in there. They're going to be like, huh? Because, hey, I can see it already, man. Ishmael going to wake up. He's going to be like, hey, buddy, you want to go to the pit and take a piss on one of those cave dogs down in the pit? Yeah, let's go. You know, then they might go to the pit and look down in there, and guess what? They ain't in there. They're gone. Okay, so they're going to be like, where is he? It says, he shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Right. Because some dreams you have, you don't remember them. You know, you have them and you have them for a moment and then they're gone. It says, yea, he shall be chased away as a vision in the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more. neither shall his place any more behold him. Now let's go to Job 18. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is Job chapter 18 verse 17. It says, his remembrance shall perish from the earth. Ain't nobody gonna remember the deeds of you Edomites on this planet, because the kingdom of heaven is gonna be, which is Yahweh's kingdom, but we're gonna be joint heirs with Yahweh. So the kingdom of heaven is gonna be such a paradise that ain't nobody gonna be thinking about this hellhole right now. Ishmael's not going to be thinking about how they were bombed and all that other shit. Elam is not going to be thinking about how they were oppressed by sanctions. Okay, the Chinese people, they're not going to be thinking about how they were provoked by the U.S. Japan is not going to be thinking about how they were bombed by the U.S. Hiroshima and Nagasaki by those atomic bombs. The Ham, the Africans, they're not going to think about how they were murdered. Well, not murdered, but killed by Esau, and then Esau went into their land and stole all their riches. They're not going to remember that. They're not. No nation on this planet is going to remember the atrocities or the terror or the horrors that you devils brought on the planet, because the kingdom of heaven is going to be such a paradise. It's going to be a world just filled with pleasures evermore. Everybody's going to be enjoying themselves, even the heathens, because they're going to have their own land. Everything is going to be done in order. Everything's going to be in order. The whole world is going to be ruled by a just delight, a just balance. Peace is going to flourish all throughout the earth. Righteousness is going to flourish all throughout the earth. So the whole earth is going to go back to being Idan, which is the Hebrew word for Eden, which means paradise. Right now, this earth is not Idan, okay? It's hell, which the opposite of hell is what? Paradise, which also proves that the Lord deals with balance. Okay, the Lord deals with balance. At one point, the earth was a paradise. Now look at it. The earth is hell. Okay, which the word hell means to the word hell means the grave, and the grave is where the grave is where what? Where the dead resides. Right now, the world is dead because Mr. Death, known as the Edomites, is ruling over it. That's why the world is hell. That's why this world is a grave. This world is full of dead people. And I'm not talking about people who have been buried in their graves after dying. I'm talking about people walking on the earth right now. Yeah, I see dead people every day. Smoking, committing adultery, getting tattoos, growing dreads. All that shit. Eating unclean foods. Worshipping idols. Calling themselves Christians. Yeah, I see dead people every day. Going to work, coming back from work, partying. So yeah, the earth is hell. The earth is one big grave, and it's full of dead people. And you people, we call you dead people because you're in a dead state of mind. Especially you Israelites. Okay? You Israelites, 2/3 of our people, you're in a dead state of mind. But it says, his remembrance shall perish from the earth. So ain't nobody going to remember you devils or your deeds. The earth is going to be such a paradise. People's going to be more and more concerned about their pleasures and excitement and happiness. And as for the Israelites, we're going to be able to travel through the universe to other universes, to other planets. So you know we ain't gonna be thinking about these devils, man. Okay? And the only way you heathens are gonna remember these devils is if you go to the Bible, if you go to the Holy Scriptures. You know? Because you might be reading the Holy Scriptures to your child, and your child might ask you, "Daddy, who's Adawan?" Oh well, once upon a time, there was these pale-skinned people that had control over the earth, and blase. You know, only then will Edom come into remembrance. That's the only time Edom is going to be remembered, when somebody reads the Holy Scriptures. It says and he shall have no name in the street. So yeah, goodbye, man. With that, I'm gonna say shalom. Is on to the next one.